All right, for this one, we're heading over to Gurugram, India, for a story that comes straight out of the late-night quiet of a call center. And this isn't just some random urban legend you hear online. This is about a totally normal night shift that spirals into a full-blown nightmare, all happening at a place called Saffron BPO.
Now here's what makes this whole thing so unsettling. This story was actually sent to us by a guy named Vineet, and he's very clear. This isn't a story he heard from a friend of a friend. No. He claims he was there. He worked at that call center and experienced all of this firsthand.
So let's set the scene, right? Picture Saffron BPO. It's this huge open-plan office, and it's the middle of the night. The only real light is the bluish glow from dozens and dozens of computer screens, and the only sound is this low murmur of people on their calls. Outside, it's a deserted industrial park, so the office feels like this tiny, isolated island in a sea of darkness.
Okay, so there are three main people you gotta know for this to make sense. First, we have Vineet, the guy who's telling us the story. Then there's his friend Samar, who's described as a pretty friendly, social guy. And then there's Rose. She worked in the cubicle right next to them.
So about Rose, she was like the perfect employee on paper. Always on time, always hitting her targets, just a star performer. But she was distant, incredibly quiet. You know the type. Samar would say hi, and she'd give this tiny little smile and turn right back to her computer. She was kind of the ghost in the machine, you know? Even before they knew just how true that was.
And for a while, that was just the normal routine. Work the night shift, take the calls, go home. But then came the night that changed everything. The night when that normal, boring routine just completely shattered.
It all kicked off around 12:30 in the morning. Rose gets a call, nothing strange there, but hours start to go by. Hours, and she's still on this one call, just whispering into her headset. I mean, most of these calls are over in like 15 minutes. Her manager starts getting concerned, so he does what they do. He quietly taps into the line just to make sure she's okay. And he hears nothing. Dead silence. Nobody's on the other end. And here's where it gets really weird. The second he taps in, Rose slams her headset down, gives everyone this look of pure rage, grabs her bag, and just storms out. Not a single word.
And that was it. That was the last time they ever saw her. She just vanished. No call, no show. Her phone went straight to voicemail. It's like she never even existed.
So fast forward 3 days. Rose is still MIA. At this point, the team leader is getting seriously worried. So he digs up her address from her HR file and decides to drive over to do a welfare check. He's probably expecting to find that she's sick or maybe just quit without telling anyone. He was not prepared for what he was about to discover.
He gets to the house, and a family answers the door. They confirm, yeah, their daughter's name was Rose. She had lived there, but she couldn't possibly be working at a call center because she had died nearly 8 years ago. Let that sink in. 8 years.
You can just imagine the news hitting that office. It must have been like a bomb went off. The woman they saw every single night, the quiet star performer who sat right there with them, logging in and taking calls, had been dead for the better part of a decade.
And that's when the terrifying question started hanging over everyone's heads. If the real Rose was dead, then who or what had been sitting in that chair every single night? The whole office was just paralyzed with this mix of total fear and disbelief. And after that revelation, man, the whole vibe of the office just changed. It went from a boring, kind of soul-crushing call center to something else, something heavy. People started getting spooked. They started noticing little things that just couldn't be explained.
And it didn't take long for things to escalate. First, people would hear footsteps in empty hallways. Then, one night, an agent came running out of the washroom, totally panicked, swearing she saw Rose in the mirror, but her eyes were glowing blood red. Security even pulled up the CCTV and saw this shadow by the water cooler that seemed to twist into a human shape. But the real kicker? Rose's old computer flickered on, logged itself into her account, sat there for a minute, and then logged right back out, all on its own.
Okay, all of that was creepy enough, but it all comes to a head on one particular night. Vineet, our narrator, was out on leave, so his friend Samar was working the shift, pretty much alone. And this was the night the haunting stopped being subtle and went full-on terrifying.
It's super late now, around 3 a.m., the dead of the night. Samar's phone rings. He picks it up, probably just thinking it's a late customer, and he hears that voice, that familiar, professional voice. Hello, Rose this side. How can I help you? He completely freaks out and just slams the phone down.
The instant he cuts the call,
The lights in the entire office start flickering like crazy, and then, boom, total darkness. He's just sitting there, heart pounding in the silence, and in the little bit of moonlight coming through the windows, he sees it. Her chair. Rose's empty chair right in front of him is slowly spinning, all by itself.
He's had enough. He bolts to the pantry to get some water, just to get a grip. As he's standing there by the cooler in the dark, he feels this cold breath on the back of his neck, and a girl's voice whispers right in his ear, "Hi, Samar. You forgot about me." He rips around, and all he sees for a split second are two glowing red eyes and the faint outline of her face.
That's it, he's done. He grabs his bag and runs for the elevator, just smashing the button for the ground floor. The doors finally ding open, but it's not the lobby. No, he's looking out at a cemetery, a literal graveyard filled with these lifeless figures just staring back at him. And among them, walking slowly towards the elevator, is Rose.
Samar just collapses in the corner of the elevator, shutting his eyes tight. The next thing he knows, the morning shift employees are there, helping him up. He's back in the normal lobby, but the experience completely shattered him. He called Vineet right away, and yeah, the very next day, they both resigned. They never, ever set foot in that building again.
So, you'd think that's where the story ends, right? They quit, they escaped, the office even shut down eventually. But it's not over. There's one last piece to this puzzle that they found out later, and one final twist that is just bone-chilling.
Turns out, weeks after they quit, Vineet learned from his landlord that the entire Saffron BPO building had been built on the site of a demolished cemetery. So Rose wasn't just some random ghost haunting an office, she was haunting what was supposed to be her own final resting place.
So months go by. Life starts to feel normal again. Samar even got a new job. They were trying to put the whole nightmare behind them. But then, one night, around 1:45 in the morning, Samar's phone rings. Unknown number. He ignores it. It rings again. He finally gives in and answers.
He says, "Hello?" into total silence, and then he hears it. That faint crackle of static, like on a cheap call center headset. And his blood just runs cold. Because he looks at the caller ID, and it's not just an unknown number. It's the landline from the now-abandoned, powered-down Saffron BPO office.
And then through that static, a voice comes through, impossibly clear. "Hello, Rose, this side. How can I help you?" The story goes that to this day, Samar still gets that call every now and then, a phantom from an office built on graves, forever asking if she can be of assistance. It's a chilling reminder that some things just never log off.